Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Whatever your time zone, this is Digital Transformation Talk, and I am your host, Kevin Crane. Welcome to the show. Today, we're here to talk about aligning data solutions with business goals for a successful digital transformation. Now, we touched upon this topic in previous episodes of Digital Transformation Talk. Indeed, starting back in February of this year, 2023, we talked about getting better value from your digital transformation initiatives, and we discussed research conducted by McKinsey, Bain, KPMG, and others that have all found that the risk of failure with digital transformation falls somewhere between 70 and 95%. Wow. Researchers point to a number of reasons for this surprisingly high failure rate, and the top one found is a lack of alignment to business outcomes and technical strategy. Most technologists, it seems, vendors included, struggle to put digital transformation into financial terms and in business outcomes that resonate on the balance sheet and in the view of business executives. So the upshot is that aligning our data solutions with our business goals is crucial for successful digital transformation for a number of reasons. First to consider in my mind is measurable outcomes. It can be hard to manage something if you can't measure it. And you can't just look at the technology or a Gantt chart. How do you define success for your digital transformation, and how do you measure that? Aligning data solutions and business goals allows for the establishment of key performance indicators that can be used to measure the success and impact of digital transformation. And it's easier to assess your progress when you're working towards specific goals. So aligning data solutions with specific business goals ensures that we are aligned with the overall strategic direction of the organization. This helps us focus on prioritizing initiatives that have direct impact on achieving those objectives and really moving the needle when it comes to digital transformation. Look, and all of this helps us save money. By understanding and targeting specific business goals, we can avoid wasting resources on irrelevant or ill-defined projects. There are a bunch of other reasons why it's important to align data solutions with business goals: less risk, better integration, improved agility, all leading to a huge competitive advantage if you get it right. So how do you do it? Well, that's what we're here today to talk about. How can we get alignment that matters, and how can we take advantage of advancements in innovations in areas like digital management, data management, the cloud, and AI in ways that really make a difference? And ultimately, what are some best practices to consider that will ensure that we're one of the 20 or 30% of organizations that do not fail with our digital transformation plans? So that's what we'll be discussing today with a great panel of guests. But before I introduce our guests, I do want to say, look, we want to hear from you too. We'd like to encourage everyone attending today to participate. So please join in with your comments in the chat section. And if you have a question along the way for our guests, go ahead and enter them into the chat feature. That's where I'll be looking. And I will be attempting to get some of your questions into the flow of the show today. And we'll certainly have a few minutes also at the end for your questions. All right, let's bring our panel of guests on today, starting with Alexander Lefterov. Alexander, are you with us?
Hi, Kevin. I'm here.
Hello, Alexander. Welcome aboard. Alexander Lefterov, welcome aboard. Alexander is the CEO and founder of Tiger Technology, a company that is specializing in hybrid cloud file data services. But until recently, Alexander was also a semi-professional bowler competing on the international level. Alexander, that's great. All right, what is your solution for the 7-10 split?
Well, there is no solution. You just throw there and pray. There is no
I've heard that
algorithm.
before. There is no solution. Well, Alexander, welcome aboard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Also joining us today is Arno Jespa. Arno, are you with us?
I am. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Arno. Welcome aboard. Now, Arno is the CTO of Enquire AI, an AI-powered expert network. He has 17 years of experience in different industries, such as trading, biometric identity, market research. But an interesting fact about you, Arno, is that you lived in Tunisia during the Arab Spring, and indeed, the anti-government protests of 2010, 2011 that spread throughout the Middle East and North Africa, known as the Arab Spring, had their impetus in Tunisia. Wow, what was it like living there at the time?
Um, yeah, no doubt. Interesting. We could hear shots in the next neighborhoods, like the situation, like we were traveling between tanks. Yeah, it was interesting,
Mm.
but it was a beautiful time for Tunisia. Like the army came to protect the people. It was very interesting.
Mm. Well, certainly a part of history. Well, welcome aboard with us today, Arno. And then also joining us today is Wakar Shah. Wakar, are you with us?
Hi, yes, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello. Hello, Wakar. Welcome aboard. Now, Wakar is the Chief Technology Officer at Chief AI. He is a seasoned CTO and machine learning engineer. But Wakar, you also enjoy composing music. That's fantastic. What kind of music do you compose?
I usually enjoy composing gaming tunes based on retro um, gaming themes. Um,
No kidding.
yeah, drawing
Nice.
upon.
You know, I've heard some of that music that's created in that space, and it's fantastic music. Well, I wish we had more time to talk about that, Wakar, but welcome aboard, gentlemen, each and every one of you. Thank you for being with us today for Digital Transformation Talk. I'd like to bring our attention to an article published by Microsoft recently that talks about new data and AI solutions to help healthcare organizations unlock insights and improve patient and clinician experiences. Now, we're not here to talk about healthcare today per se, but the article does review some developments in technology that and the driving need for organizations to really unlock the power of data to improve things like patient care, patient experience, customer experience. One of those tools in the article mentioned in the article is Microsoft Fabric, an end-to-end unified analytics platform that brings together data and analytics tools. And this helps organizations combine data from previously siloed sources to build standardized, scalable solutions that help accelerate the process of uncovering insights and ultimately driving better patient clinical care. Now, my question to the group is, these seem like really powerful tools. What impact do you gentlemen believe that these tools and others will have in unlocking the power of data for organizations, both inside and outside of healthcare? And do they represent the kind of alignment of data solutions and business goals that are so important today? Alexander, what are your thoughts about the article?
Well, it's a great article and a great news, actually. Obviously, everyone from us has a somewhat selfish perspective of the healthcare being better, so we don't have to be treated poorly any day in our life. But actually, I believe that there are some things that need to be considered when analyzing such a news, because using the AI and making it used for a better patient care and some of these data congregation, which happens in the cloud, actually is the end goal. I think it doesn't say much about some of the problems that the say CIOs of the hospitals and not only in the healthcare are facing today, and that is how to deal with the growing amount of data that they generate. Say, for example, areas in healthcare like digital pathology, for example, they're generating vast amount of data that is generated on-prem by high-quality scanners, and there is really a very problematic part of how to upload this data and how to use this data in potential AI. So in a way, this is a great article. This gives a great insight of what is to come, but there are still more pressing problems that typically people dealing with data actually have to face today.
That's a great point, Alexander. I mean, organizations in every industry are really battling this sort of overcoming tsunami of data they must manage every day. Arno, what are your thoughts on the article? Do these types of technologies bring the unification of all the data and the systems together in ways that you feel will make a difference?
So Microsoft did a great move, bringing business intelligence, big data, and AI under one platform. I think it will help the IT department that manage all of that. And I think they try to pull a little bit more usage of their cloud platform on Azure. So that's a great move in the battle, in their battle against AWS. I agree with Alexander. Like there are some pressing for healthcare, particularly. We're not here to talk about it, but the siloed situation, like a data situation, when I think about the US, Azure. Fabric seems to be trying to help hospitals, but the patient trying to get his information from one institution to the other. I hope it's their end goal in order to have like a traceability of events in people's life. But overall, I mean, like Fabric seems to be a very good product. The thing is like cloud providers are very sticky, right? When you start to install your systems on a cloud provider, it's hard to move. But I think yeah, they are. I think they are going to come up with API endpoints that will allow to treat your data in one platform and get the results to another cloud provider if you're on AWS or GCP.
Okay. Yeah, really bridging those silos of data across the enterprise and across different repositories, even in the cloud or on-prem. Waqar, what do you feel about this article, and will this spill over into other industries besides healthcare?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful initiative by Microsoft. I mean, they've really aggregated a lot of disparate technologies, ranging from chatbots, trying to make sense of unstructured data, creating data lakes, that can really, elevate the quality of data in a healthcare organization and get it to a level quality-wise where machine learning can be produced on top of that. So they've got a wide variety, a diverse raft of services that they're trying to bring together, and it's really a commendable endeavor. But I think the key challenge for Microsoft, as any big cloud AI-enabled vendor, would be to enable their clients to connect to the data where it really matters. So breaking data silos, getting data out of obscure storage areas in the organization, helping their clients really realize what each data set really represents. And that, when they really try to understand the data that they hold, only then can a cloud vendor really effectively apply these data services on top of that, and then build value on top of those unlocked data silos. But I think really identifying and evaluating the data an organization holds is really key to the success of this service. I think that these learnings would apply outside of healthcare to any other industry that you would apply high quality unstructured data analysis or machine learning to. So I think it's really key to understand the data that an organization holds.
You've got to start with, you've got to know what you've got before you know what you've got, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. All right, very good. And for those of you with us today, there is a link to the article in the chat feature now if you'd like to grab that article and check it out. All right, gentlemen, I would like to open it up to our discussion points today, starting with understanding the evolving needs of different industries in data management, storage, and AI. As I mentioned in my introduction, it seems the biggest failure rate, reason for such a high failure rate with digital transformation is a lack of alignment or connective tissue between business goals and technology objectives, and bridging that gap seems to be the major hurdle that we must overcome. So my question to the group is, how do we understand different industries' needs in data management, storage, and AI, and how do we bring that into a unified sort of approach with business goals? I'll open it up to the entire group. Please, everyone, please feel free to jump in. But Alexander, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, obviously, when people are facing the problem of how to apply properly technology to align with their business goals, there are various ways to do that, and there are various technologies available out there on the market. Basically, the cloud here, as well as the AI services available, are just a few examples. Since we're talking today about data, and we have a experience about dealing with people trying to make the most out of their data. Obviously, the first question is where I need my data in order to get the most value out of it, so it can be exposed to the most valuable services for my business, and how to bring this data there and how to maintain it there. Because sometimes the data needs to be on premises where a lot of workflows, especially some mission critical workflows, are running. Sometimes it needs to be in the cloud using the scalability and resilience of the data solutions there. Sometimes it needs to be accessed from multiple locations, which is obviously, again, needs to be in the cloud. Sometimes it needs to be exposed in AI. So these are the first questions that anyone dealing with vast data sets need to start putting together, is where I can make the most out of my data. And then only then, as the next question is, how do I achieve this goal by applying the right technology? That's, I believe, should be the right way to start.
And then, so how can I make the most out of my data is I think a great question, or a great motto moving forward. But then how do I link it with those key objectives, those key performance indicators of the organization that may or may not have anything to do with technology or data? Arno, Wakari, what are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's really a long-term investment, Kevin. I think large organizations, medium to large organizations, I think they really have to double down on first, analyzing their data, getting to know their data, and then using these tools that these vendors are providing to really, get their data sets to position where they're going to actually be in a position to create value. And I think it's important for management to recognize that this is essentially, they're in that for a long haul, and it's a long-term investment that they will reap the benefits of over a number of years or even decades into the future. So it's not a one step, on tap service that you can just turn the key and then benefit from immediate returns or differences to the bottom line. So it won't work like that. I think we live in a wonderful world where right now the hybrid cloud, multiple cloud services can really be connected together and really be made very, very efficient, creating a hybrid of on-prem and cloud-based services where data can reside in multiple geographical locations, but it can be exploited from multiple cloud vendors, based on compute power, location, for example, level of RAM required, number of GPUs. So it's a really interesting way that we can really mix and match cloud-based AI for maximum data value aggregation and exploitation. But I think it really comes down to first, management understanding that these are the requirements. This needs to be achieved over a number of years, and then really identifying the best resources on-prem, on the cloud, that can be harnessed to achieve those goals.
Arno, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
How do we understand the evolving needs of our industry and how that links with our solutions?
I think if we think about the leadership, the first question is why do we do what we do? Why is this company doing what it does? From there, we can draw priorities of the data that we need to bring together and embed. We'll probably talk about embeddings later, but after there are multiple connectors. If we think about tools like Llama Index and Fabric, actually, who provide hundreds of connectors, you can bring the data, and the storage is actually cheap. If we don't think about a database with embeddings, like a vector database, storage itself is actually cheap. What I mentioned is the data management and the AI part of things. The processing of this data is actually very costly. And in the last question, which I talk right now, sorry, but bring the GPU, like the GPU power in-house, because you will probably try multiple models to try to make sense of your data and visualizing it and so on. But yeah, if I bring back my first point, the leadership needs to understand like which are the data they have, but which of the data have the highest return on investment, like on which we should bring a model. And there is one thing that is, I think, very important to mention. Don't be afraid to, I mean, in my sense, at least for startup or medium-sized companies, don't be afraid to push a model on production, even if it's a vanilla model. You don't have time to fine-tune it or to find other tools, but the return on investment is very important. I think like most of the failure is due to the fact that data scientists try to work on the data without having a defined specific goal in mind. And we spend a lot of time, and I think a lot of models are being built but never used. And I think that's a big failure of the return on investment.
Well, Arno, that you make a great point. Go ahead. Yes, please. Go ahead, Alexander.
Yes, I just want to mention something with regards to what Arno just said. I completely agree with the fact that the storage is infinitely cheaper compared to AI processing, but actually for a lot of businesses, the storage cost is the main goal that they're trying to optimize. For example, if you're like again a hospital holding a few petabytes of I don't know, digital pathology images and adding 1 petabyte every year, and you need to store it for 15 years, then all of a sudden this becomes a big burden on your IT budget. So we're at the stage that a lot of businesses are actually struggling to find the right strategy for how to store their data, because obviously we are past the times where data was stored in a tape buried in somewhere and not accessible. Mm-hmm. But how to make the data being relatively cheap to store is, for a lot of CIOs, is the main problem that they're trying to deal. Of course, augmenting this data with AI is obviously the next step. But as I said earlier in this talk, a lot of people are still fighting with their first step, and it's important to resolve it before planning the next ones.
Well, that brings us really to my next question, or our next discussion point. To me, it really comes down to the process, each individual process that makes the business run every day, whether it's healthcare or manufacturing or insurance or whatever industry you're in. It's about how business functions really align their strategies with their data and their industry-specific requirements, their process-specific requirements. So, Waqar, I'll ask you, how do business process owners, how can they best align their strategies with their requirements and really leverage the requirements and opportunities in data solutions?
I think communication with stakeholders and employees is key, and really understanding how data flows throughout respective departments and how data is created, stored, governed, utilized, and whether it's being aggregated or put away in areas that are obscure, how accessible it is, what is the overall governance looking like in each organizational function. So I think it's very key for data managers to work together with departmental heads and really understand how the data flows throughout those functions. And then once we understand how data is created, governed, and treated, then different stakeholders can sit down and really understand how data can then be elevated and put into a situation where more value can be created on top of that. So I think interdepartmental communication is key for that.
Is there a process to do that, like a data flow map or a process flow map that can be useful? Gentlemen, do you have some suggestions for process owners that might be listening to us now on how to do that?
So all AI models process input and output. So you ask a question, you get answers. and the answer might be good or bad. So this classification or labelization, labels, like labeling the data, is like probably the biggest task in AI. Running the model is actually like it's not that much code really, but labeling the data is like a huge human effort if you want to do it manually. So having labeled like inputs, outputs, success, failures, like formatting your data this way will definitely help you bring a model to learn these patterns. Now, trying to ingest everything is probably not the good thing to do. You should center on a specific goal, like I mentioned earlier. And it's easy to think in the age of AI that everything is easy, but actually, like the work, no matter which platform you have, will require specialists like time and effort to make this real. And so always keep at every level, keep the return on investment in mind, I think. And also, yeah, in that point, I would say teams needs to brainstorm, and the diversity creates evolution, right? So brainstorming cross teams, like the biz dev team, the IT team, the leadership. I think like you need to create like these bubbles of brainstorming in order to first understand each other, because it's still not easy even with the amount of communication we have. Understand the fear, the frustration, the challenges of each teams really brings this like a return on investment, because some things may appear easy, but it's hard, and sometimes it seems hard, but it's actually easy to implement. And this you can't assume it from another team if you don't actually like try to gather the feelings from that team through a brainstorming.
All right, Alexander. Now, Arno mentioned AI, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you folks about the role of AI in all of this. Alexander, what is your feeling about the role of AI in providing this alignment and with our data strategies and solutions?
Well, there is hardly any doubt that the AI currently is the most appealing way to get a value from your data and to add value to your data. So being able to process the right data through AI currently is considered the most challenging, but the most returning from a returning investments perspective action when it comes to data strategy. But since you started discussing and you mentioned processes about creating data strategy, I think that there are things to consider before getting to the AI. Like, for example, in a company, not all data is like equal. There are all kinds of data in a company, and I believe that from a process perspective, people should always start from segmenting their data in depending on the role it plays for their organization. Even for, let's say, since we started using for healthcare, I mean, it's not all the healthcare data is needed to be processed by a certain AI, for example. There is even accounting data in a hospital, so it meets completely different requirements. Okay. And then after you segment this data, you need to answer is where is the optimal place for my data? Because there are depending on what you want to do data, there are some data that needs to be accessed from multiple places. There are some data that just need to be archived for disaster recovery or for which obviously needs to be saved in a least expensive secure place. There are also some limitations which are industry specific. For example, there are regulations in a lot of industries about being able to store data outside a particular country. Healthcare is a good example of that. So that is also something that you need to take into account of your data strategy. And only after you answer all these questions, you need to be in a position to create a strategy of how to move this data to the right place, and then apply the right tools over this data, AI included. So I believe that creating a data strategy for a successful digital transformation is a very complex process that needs to be done carefully to avoid failures like the ones that you talked in the beginning.
Yes. We are here today with Alexander Lefterov, CEO of Tiger Technology, also Waqar Shah, CTO of Chief AI, and Arno Jespa, CTO of Inquire AI. And if you have a question for our guest today, please feel free to enter that into the chat feature. We will have some time here in just a few minutes for your questions, so please jump in. Now, gentlemen, Alexander just mentioned the question, where is the best place for our data? I think this is a good question and one that is not easily answered. So it brings us to our third discussion point, and that is how to leverage hybrid cloud for your digital transformation. Clearly, the days when we used to think of one source of truth for all of our information are behind us. It's rather more intelligent to view data is everywhere. How do I bring all my data together in ways that I can manage it and leverage it in ways that that bring me a competitive advantage? So how do I leverage hybrid cloud for digital transformation? Gentlemen, I'll leave it up to you. What are your thoughts on this?
If I can start, I mean, like the simplest thing I can think of is your production application is online, so it needs to be auto scaled, like hot in usage. So the models needs to be there, like your database needs to be there, like the embeddings needs to be like really fast to be saved. So that I think should stay in the cloud. Now, when you attack a project and you want to test multiple models, you want to test multiple loss functions, which is like the way to reward or punish the model for doing that task or that task. There are multiple loss functions to test. Theoretically, you can decide, but still, practice is a great exercise to see that. You can evaluate the accuracy of the models and retrain, fine-tune in different manners. Also manipulating your data in different manners in order for the model to learn in a way or another. So this is a lot of computing, right? And doing it on a cloud server will be very expensive. Very expensive, even on Fabric. Like as soon as you start to use like GPUs or TPUs, like the bill increases. So for at least if you're looking at your cost, and I would advise everybody to spend a lot, like quite a bit of time on the cost management side of things. I would urge people to actually buy a TPU or a GPU and train their model and test their model, like put their data scientists, and they will learn a little bit of DevOps, which will be like MLOps, which will be needed anyway in their career. So it's a good exercise to keep that there, like on premise.
And Waqar, is the cloud the answer?
I think the cloud can be very effectively utilized in multiple ways. So, for example, while you can have data storage and training on-prem, the resultant models can be orchestrated on cloud-based machine learning services. Your entire ML ops cycle can be based on a cloud-based solution, for example, where model processing, delivery, iterative feedback, post-execution, all of this is stored in the cloud, and you can study it, with various third-party analytics services to basically, know how well each model is performing in what business environment, whether there's any model drift, how well are the business KPIs being adhered to and achieved. So all of this can really, all of the ML ops iterative feedback can really reside in the cloud, whereas actual model training can be done on-prem, and orchestration can be done on very low cost ML ops orchestrators that can reside in various hybrid configurations. So I think it's really a mixture of on-prem, multiple cloud, connected together to make sure that each component of the service delivery is being optimized and value delivery really maximized with this multiple hybrid configuration.
So it sounds to me that we are in a hybrid environment where we're certainly looking at an environment where we have on-prem data and it needs to stay there. Cloud data is a place where we can move forward with some innovation. Alexander, how do I manage all of that?
Well, first of all, some years ago, there was a clear trend about moving from on-prem to the cloud, mostly driven by the big cloud vendors. It turns out that this is not always the answer to all the questions. So now we are seeing clearly the hybrid cloud or the distribution of data between an on-premises the cloud being the more and more the norm, or more and more being applied for large enterprises. I'm not even talking about things like data repatriation, which is also something that is started to happen, like people pulling out of the cloud. But I believe that this is more aligned with unrealistic expectations to start with. I believe the hybrid distribution is the way to be to stay, and this is extremely important for certain businesses that are more or less on-prem in nature. For example, video surveillance comes to my mind. Is that this is a business that generates vast amounts of data that is quite frequently changed, and it requires a very big performance, which is currently not available between on-premise and the cloud. At the same time, this business can take very big benefits of applying this data to AI, and the AI services are typically in the cloud. So they are facing the problem of how to properly distribute the data, which is performance sensitive to stay on premise, while other data which can be used for deriving business intelligence to go to the cloud and being AI processed. So I believe that hybrid is the way to develop your data strategy. And of course, the particular data strategy depends on the industry and the particular business, but this needs to be, like I said earlier, needs to be very carefully considered.
We are here today with Alexander Lefterov, Wakar Shah, and Arnaud Jespa. It is time for our questions from our audience. If you have a question for our guest today, please pop that into the chat feature. That's where we'll be looking. And in the time that we have remaining today, we will be getting to your questions. And we do have some questions coming in, gentlemen. Starting with this question here, I would like to hear Alexander talk about conversational AI in call center. Conversational AI applied to the call center. Alexander, do you have a thought about that?
Well, first of all, unlike my my fellow panelists, I'm definitely the least expert when it comes to AI in this panel. So, like I said, looking on the conversational AI from data perspective, it is something that I believe it relies on the data being fed to it, and that just underlines the importance of the data being at the right time to be fed to the machine learning model that eventually fuel the conversational AI. I'm a strong technology proponent, so for me, the conversational AI is definitely the future. But again, I cannot say much more than that, unfortunately, from a business value perspective.
Arnaud, did you have something to add?
Yes. So for the conversations, you can start by a few trainings. There are some courses by Andrew Ng. So Andrew Ng, the spelling, and it can set you up like pretty fast to have a conversation AI. Now that makes me think about a low hanging fruit that pretty much any companies can use in AI. It's actually everything that is customer support, customer success, and client feedback. These are information that are vital to a company, right? We do what we do, especially for people who face challenges, and getting this information from the challenges that our clients are having on our platform are gold for the next step for the building the roadmap. So that's really something where you can use AI to classify this information, try to see trends out of this information, and really bring you like a unified feedback, because you won't read all the feedbacks like single feedbacks or support tickets, right? So you need to see like an aggregated view of what you need to fix or do.
Well, it all comes down to that customer experience, and if you can provide a customer experience, I think you can gain a competitive advantage. You agree, Wakar?
I think conversational AI and chatbots are really key to improving the customer experience, and we're seeing a lot of CX solutions adding chatbots to their mix of services that they're providing. I think it's a wonderful application of AI and machine learning technology. We've seen how successful ChatGPT has been in certain areas recently. We've seen how the service has had a significant uptake around the world, and I think this is just the beginning of things like LLMs, large learning models, and where we're only now just beginning to learn how these LLMs can be more efficiently and relatively cheaply trained on industry specific textual data sets and unstructured data specific to each industry. So, for example, you could have a chat GPT specifically for finance, or another chat GPT specifically for marketing employees. And these specific niche LLMs can be trained with various techniques that are only just beginning to be evaluated. And we're trying to, there's certain areas where machine learning developers are adding layers on top of those LLMs to really reduce the cost of training through going through unstructured data and making it more structured and rule-based in a way. So we're seeing a lot of additional programming layers on top of those LLMs, which are really reducing the overall cost of training. It's very interesting times that we're living in. I think conversational AI is really here to stay. It will get immensely better with time.
All right, gentlemen, in the time that we have left, which is running short, we have a question here from Daria. How do you address security risks when it comes to mixing private and public clouds? I think this is on the minds of everyone. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts? Anyone?
Well, I'll try to answer it from my experience. So basically, there are obviously the widespread opinion that something that you control is more secure than the public cloud. So that means that a lot of the people that are more security concerned are going to more of the private cloud option. Actually, the truth is not exactly that. The public clouds are very secure. And the cloud vendors, they're adding a lot of security measures and efforts to protect their customers' data, because obviously the worst thing that for a cloud provider is for some of the customers having the data leaked. Right. So I would argue that, and again, I'm not an advocate of the big cloud vendors, don't get me wrong, but I would advocate that in a lot of the cases, a public cloud may be more secure than a private one. But yet today, the private cloud is considered something that is more secure, and you should go with a private cloud if you have concerns.
This question coming in from James, gentlemen. Do any of you have a view on data transformation, cleansing, and migration challenges and approaches as a part of a process to leverage data? Anyone have a thought on that?
I think when it comes to data transformation, obviously data identification, cleansing, labeling can be one of the foundational activities to undertake when really trying to elevate an organization's data. I think it's really key for data architects to really know their data end to end. Know what each data set does, what generated it, where is it stored, how is it governed over time, how is it destroyed or disposed of, or if not, how will it persist eventually into the unforeseen future. So really understanding the data is the first step to cleaning it and doing things like feature engineering on top of that. So I think it's really important to have a list of stakeholders, employees, people in the organization who really know how to work with data, to really understand your data in each department and make sure that you know what each data set really does. I think that's key.
And in just a couple seconds here, Alexander, we have one last question for you. What makes a hybrid cloud strategy more favored choice compared to a cloud-first strategy?
Well, first, the main reason that the hybrid cloud strategy is my favorite choice would be in the case where the cloud first is not even possible to be able. Say, for example, if you run a mission critical application on premise, and right now you want to take the benefits of the cloud, like I mentioned earlier in different industries, you have to use hybrid. You cannot actually transform your application directly to the cloud because it will lose some of its main features. A lot of the people that are running some of these mission critical workflows are concerned about losing connectivity or cloud outages or something, and they prefer to keep these workflows where they are for now. So I believe that the rise in popularity of hybrid cloud is mainly because these businesses are becoming their digital transformation, and they face the fact that they cannot go cloud first.
All right. All right, everyone. We are reaching the end of our program today. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions today. Alexander, Waqar, and Arno, it has been great speaking with you today. In just a couple of minutes that we have left, I'm wondering if each of you could provide us with one quick action item that our listeners can do to take advantage of your ideas and advice today. Arno, do you have an action item for us?
Yeah, in reaction to William, yes, it's really hard to prepare your data for a machine learning AI model. So you can't do everything. So really brainstorming and deciding which data you want to attack to prepare your data, like do all of that work. It's an expensive work, so people need to care. Thinking that we can ingest all the data and do some magic with it is a total make-believe, but we live in an age where everything seems easy. So yeah, so brainstorming is like a really must-do, I think.
And Waqar, what is your action item for us today?
I would say invest in good people and invest in good data governance tools that can really unlock the value of data that resides in your organization. Really understanding your data is key before any machine learning happens. And there are some very good governance tools on the market that can help you really get visibility and open up the kind of data that you hold. So I think it's very important to invest in tools. Yep.
All right. And finally, Alexander, what is your action item for us today?
My action item was that always the first step to develop a data strategy, you try to do a data and storage assessment. You'll be surprised by your data. Our experience shows that people have vast misconception when it comes to how much of their data is being used frequently, how much of their data is good to be going to archive, etc. So in order to save a lot of effort and cost later, always start with a good data assessment.
Very good. That is Alexander Lefterov, CEO of Tiger Technology, Waqar Shah, CTO of Chief AI, and Arno Jespa, Chief Technology Officer at Enquire AI. Thank you, gentlemen, for a great panel today. Your perspectives and advice were spot on. Thank you so much. I hope we get a chance to talk again soon. And to everyone joining us today, thank you too. Thanks for joining in with your questions. Join us next time on November 7th at 1600 British time when we will talk with another great panel of experts. Next time about how to deliver an ROI from conversational AI. Well, that should be another great discussion. I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, if you'd like to find me, you can do so on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there. Check me out. I'm Kevin Crane, and you can check out my weekly audio podcast, the Digital Transformation Podcast. But until then, that will do it for this episode of Digital Transformation Talk. Until next time, I'm Kevin Crane. Thank you for watching.